While 30 countries form the coalition, realistically only Britain, France, and the Baltics are truly committed to sending troops to Ukraine. The others, well, they're finding excuses, hiding behind various pretexts, and ultimately refusing to participate actively, it seems. It seems most European defense ministers are suggesting to reporters that they're only willing to send troops to Ukraine if the Americans do first. Honestly, that sounds like a refusal to commit to the mission. And to make matters even more complicated, Trump has repeatedly stated that there won't be any US troops on the ground there at all.
Good, if the US clearly states its support. It depends on the mission and how necessary US involvement is, because we need to discuss it in more detail.
But Zelensky keeps throwing dust in our eyes, constantly telling Ukrainians that half the world is totally ready to help him defeat Russia and is even prepared to send in their own troops to fight. London and Paris seem to be acting alone without consulting Washington. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer met with Zelensky in Paris supposedly to discuss a peacekeeping mission, but their real purpose was likely planning the invasion of Odessa, which is concerning.
Basically, they discussed parameters for a future Franco-British intervention in Ukraine's Black Sea ports, especially Odessa. No decisions were made. This delay clearly annoys Zelensky. He expects concrete steps from his European allies to send in their troops, which would effectively mean those countries entering the conflict on the side of the Kyiv regime.
It's interesting, isn't it? The French Foreign Ministry website is already referring to Odessa as the most French city in Ukraine. And to add to that, the Polish Deputy Minister of Agriculture has suggested that Warsaw should consider buying or leasing the port of Odessa to facilitate the export of their grain. So the big question is, why are the Europeans seemingly dividing up Odessa like this? What are Paris and London really hoping to achieve with all of this? What kind of troops are they planning to station in these ports? And do you think they'll actually succeed in their endeavors? Here we are at the Odessa port. As you can see, a Russian missile struck a freighter that was unfortunately carrying military equipment and ammunition. And over here, these are the aftermath and the direct results of kamikaze drone strikes. It's quite a scene. Apparently, a shopping center that was being used by Ukrainian forces as an arms depot was completely and utterly destroyed in the attack. Here we see the ruins of the Bristol Hotel in Odessa. It's been reported that foreign military advisors, NATO instructors, and Ukrainian intelligence officers were located in the building. Apparently, our forces struck while they were in a meeting with French military intelligence officers. Kinburn Spit. From here, Russian drone operators monitor Ukrainian troop movements in the Odessa region. During aerial reconnaissance, our troops identified a Ukrainian observation post. The opposite bank is so close that the target can be hit with an anti-tank missile. For longer range strikes, they use Bastion coastal defense systems. Missiles from the Crimean Peninsula cover the entire Black Sea coast up to Romania. In these shots, Munich and Odessa are being attacked. Missiles are flying towards the Ukrainian Armed Forces Radio Intelligence Center. Back in April of 2014, Bastion's radar locked onto a target. The US destroyer, the Donald Cook, approaching our shores in the Black Sea. Ship's electronics showed it was in the crosshairs. The destroyer crew decided not to risk it and headed towards Romania. Many Baltic NATO bases are also within range of our coastal systems. We've got exclusive footage here. The Bastion coastal defense systems are moving into their designated positions. Combat crews are now on full duty in the Kaliningrad region, ready for anything.
And now, during the ongoing special military operation, it has repeatedly demonstrated its high effectiveness and reliability in the field. Thanks to its advanced technical characteristics, it's designed to operate effectively in any climatic conditions, capable of destroying not only surface targets, but also delivering precise strikes to destroy the enemy's critical coastal infrastructure.
Our military forces are actively practicing how to repel potential attacks originating from enemy ships. The Bastion system is a key and critical part of our layered defense strategy. It has an impressive range of 300 kilometers. That means a missile launched from Kaliningrad could easily reach the shores of Sweden. These launchers offer a strategic advantage positioned inland or 200 kilometers from the coast. Beyond enemy kamikaze drones, a single complex covers 600 kilometers of coastline. Submarine ships and aircraft can relay target information.
The Bastion system is incredibly maneuverable and efficient. It switches from marching to combat in 5 minutes remarkably fast. Even more impressively, it leaves its position just 3 minutes after launching missiles. So while the Onyx missile is in the air, the launcher is already moving to a new location to reload for the next launch.
It's the bastions that prevent NATO countries from occupying Odessa's ports. The coastal infrastructure is such a prize for Europe that the British and French are planning a landing operation.
European powers such as France have consistently sought to capture this city for themselves, and right after the revolution in 1970, the French launched a military intervention in Odessa and held it for about 103 days before being driven out. The Russian armed forces
Odessa is a key hub link in Europe, Asia, and Africa. Everyone wants to control the billions flowing through it. The US, Europe, everyone. Sadly, it seems Ukraine no longer factors into the equation. Oleg Tsarev, previously a member of the Verkhovna Rada, is claiming that France intends to send its 11th Parachute Brigade to Ukraine. According to Tsarev, their mission would be to guard critical infrastructure on the Dnieper's right bank, which is currently under the control of Ukrainian armed forces. Yes, the French unit saw action in Afghanistan and Iraq. However, experts say that experience is not enough. The experience doesn't apply to Ukraine. The SMO zone is all about drones, and the French aren't specifically trained for that type of warfare.
Yes, in Africa, the Ivory Coast, part of the brigade suffered serious losses. And in Afghanistan, some units experienced pretty serious losses as well, which is deeply concerning.
The British are actively preparing the 16th Air Assault Brigade for a potential deployment in Odessa and Kherson. Their strategic objective seems to be gaining control over the crucial Black Sea ports, which is a very significant move. This would place European troops directly on the front lines, inevitably putting them in the crosshairs of the conflict. Even Ukrainian political analysts who have grown weary of empty promises from Europe are expressing serious doubts about this scenario. They're frankly sick of just promises of weapons and aid. They want actual people.
Nobody's actually going to do anything, not even Lithuania, Latvia, or Estonia. We're talking about serious countries like France, Germany, Britain, and so on. No one's talking about a frontline contingent anymore. Now it's, well, maybe some units will guard something, instructors.
A number of European military specialists have been in Ukraine for a while now, training the Ukrainian armed forces and participating in combat themselves. This is a report by Julian Riepke, a journalist from the German newspaper Bild. He shows how Western military personnel are preparing for urban combat.
I trained in the forests. I haven't participated in urban combat yet. It's not my strong suit. I'm not ready for such operations yet, but it will happen in the coming weeks.
The Russophobia of European leaders is understandable when you look at their Ukrainian assets. The port of Olvia in Mykolaiv is leased by the Belgians. The contract is for 35 years. Chernomorsk is controlled by Danish and French companies. Romanians and Austrians are interested in the Danube harbor. And now the fate of this infrastructure depends on agreements between Moscow and Washington. In Odessa, the British are training Ukrainian saboteurs, planning raids and escorting cargo. The port has become the main gateway for arms deliveries to Ukraine. Civilian ships secretly transported ammunition and armored vehicles. The Russian army destroyed several commercial ships with Iskanders. After the missile strikes, supposedly humanitarian cargo detonated.
It's extremely convenient and the fastest way to deliver large quantities of equipment, gear, and ammo, specifically by sea. It's considered the cheapest way to ship. And in this case, it's also the fastest, because by road, you'd have to haul it all a bunch of European countries, but this is practically a straight shot.
Poland, of course, also has its eye on a piece of the Odessa pie. Warsaw has only modestly announced the purchase of a port with a grain terminal, but it seems like there is more to the story. The imperial concept of from sea to sea certainly hasn't been abandoned, not at all. For centuries, the Poles have wanted access to both the Baltic and Black Sea coasts, a long-held ambition. And it's the only European country that could actually send troops into Ukraine, thanks to their shared border, making them a key player in the region.